You see how hard it is? Check this shit out. Let's go for a ride. Come on. This is what happens. Welcome to the real. This is what happens. I'm gonna do this right. Okay? Breaking news, breaking news. Breaking news, breaking news. This just in.
I got a clear emergency. My pilot's unconscious. I need help up here.
Alright, that voice you're hearing is that of Doug White. He and his family had just gone down to Florida to actually attend his brother's funeral, and they're trying to take a charter flight back to their home in Louisiana. When on the climb out, basically passing through about 8,000 feet or so, Doug looks over and realizes that the pilot is unconscious.
The pilot's dead. His brother's dead.
What he's going to do and whether he's actually going to make it through this.
The fuck? White dog. Not white dog. It is white dog. White dog. We're going to sit here and watch. Look, the man, the fucking pilot died. Okay? He fucking dies. This guy's homie. He's go to his brother's funeral, but the fucking pilot died too. Now the plane climbs, maybe could stall out, then he gonna die. One guy's dead.
Alright, something that you need to know is Doug actually has some time flying a single-engine Cessna, but he had that time about 18 years prior to this flight. So he flown about 80 hours flying a Cessna 18 years ago, then he stopped flying. And this is only his second time in a King Air. And prior to takeoff, Doug had asked the pilot how to talk on the radio because he was starting to pick up an interest in aviation and flying again. So knowing how to find that switch and actually talk on the radio is really going to help Doug out in a situation.
I need to get this thing on the ground. I'm flying the King Air. I got the whiskey. I understand. Are you a pilot unconscious? My pilot's deceased. I am a single-engine pilot. Low power. I need help.
How does he know the damn pilot's dead? I know you can know when somebody's unconscious. He didn't check. I don't look. It's fishy to me. Let's see if he lands.
So the air traffic controller initially assumes that Doug is actually the co-pilot on this flight because it's not very typical to have a passenger talking on the radio.
No, not very typical.
Typically aren't riding up front with the other pilot. And so there's a little bit of confusion here, and the air traffic controller is talking to Doug.
He's not the co-pilot.
Asking him to state his intentions. And he's starting to piece things together. The air traffic controller is realizing that Doug may not actually be a pilot. This
Doug's
is where Doug admits that he is a low-time single-engine pilot. He has flown a single-engine aircraft, but he hardly has any experience doing that. And he definitely doesn't have any experience flying a King Air, which is a multi-engine aircraft with retractable gear and all sorts of other things that a low-time single-engine pilot would not be used to.
Fuck.
I will do that one.
Everybody needs to get level.
Autopilot.
So air traffic control wants Doug to level off the plane at 11,000, but the problem is the aircraft is still climbing because the autopilot is turned on. And in this instance, what had happened is the pilot who was originally flying had set the autopilot to maintain a specific rate of climb, but he hadn't set the autopilot to stop at a pre-selected altitude. So without that altitude being pre-selected, the aircraft is going to keep climbing.
And he just died.
Contact Miami approach 133.77.
I've been like that. That's the exact thing I told him.
And yes, air traffic control and pilots can talk this fast on the radio, especially in an emergency. Right now, air traffic control is trying to clear all these other pilots off of the frequencies so he can focus on dealing with this emergency.
I did not train for this. This is my life. We're gonna die.
So you can see the altimeter. If this is accurate, it's showing the altimeter is 12,000, basically saying that the aircraft is at 12,000 feet. You can see right below that is your vertical speed indicator showing that the aircraft is climbing at a rate of 1,500 feet per minute. And so what Doug is saying is, hey, I know where the autopilot is
It's
located.
dog.
At least I can kind of figure that out.
White dog.
I can see
dog
that
white.
it looks like it's set
Dog
to
white.
10,000 feet, but I'm obviously
It's
not at
fucking dog
10,000
white.
feet. The aircraft
Is
is
he
still
gonna make
climbing.
it? And
And when he's
pilot
saying
night.
turn off the altimeter, what he's really meaning is
Fucking
turn off
ladies'
the
night.
autopilot. So it's obviously a very scary situation to be
I'm
in
scared.
because right now the autopilot is flying the aircraft for you. And if you turn that thing
no.
off, now it's going to be entirely on you to fly the aircraft.
And November 9
On me.
Whiskey, okay, and you think the
That's what I'm
autopilot is
I
on?
mean,
I know it's on. And our 9 Delta Whiskey, right there. Can you tell what altitude the server's going to climb to? The altitude said it's 10,000, but I'm going through 13 now. Should have leveled off at 10, so how I stop that is what I want to know.
All right, so most people don't realize that the majority of air traffic controllers are not pilots and do not have any flight time experience. They're
Fuck, they
specifically
don't.
trained to be air traffic controllers. Now, there are some that were previously pilots or some that fly on the side as a pilot recreationally, but for the most part, air traffic control is not going to be familiar with the instruments on your aircraft,
What
the
do you
autopilot, or how the aircraft actually performs. And so he's in a really...
what the fuck? I would look. They have games of those simulators. Those are hard. Airplane simulator. Get on there. Get on there. It's great. It'll take you out there. You start your thing up. You got to turn both engines on. You got to push them up to go. You got to be able to take off, land in that motherfucker with the put the fucking gear down, line it up. That shit's hard. If you don't know where those buttons are on the game, you find out, but you crash. You crash the first times. Hope this guy don't crash, man. Please, God, don't crash, man. Come on, man. Look, the algorithm picked this. We're going for a ride, okay?
predicament right now because the controller is trying to most likely desperately find
Life.
somebody who has some flight time experience in the control room with him, or get somebody else on the phone that they can use to basically coordinate with Doug to help him get out of this situation.
559 Delta Whiskey only, and understand. So we're trying to find some help out here, and you're still on the climb?
Still climbing through 14,000.
Now, the only problem with the aircraft still climbing is that eventually that aircraft will hit what's known as its service ceiling altitude, or basically it'll get to an altitude where the engines can't keep up with the performance required out of it. Most likely at that point, the autopilot's going to kick off, or worst case scenario, the aircraft could stall. So Doug is realizing this problem, and he's trying to figure out how to get this aircraft to stop climbing, because if he doesn't, he could be in a much worse situation.
That's what I'm talking about. I literally told this to my ex, like, this is how I felt. Like plane going up, going to stall out.
It's set at 1,500.
It's set at 10,000, 10,000, but it went through that. So I need to, if I set it to 16,000, will it level off or not under altitude set? Not under Whiskey?
Right now, Doug really wants this guy to help him out and give him any
The
sort
guy
of
don't know. He's
advice
not a
or
pilot.
instruction, because Doug is literally just sitting there, letting the airplane continue to climb and fly
I'd be
itself.
scared as hell. I
He has
am
no
scared
idea what
as
to do.
hell.
November 9 Delta Whiskey. Okay, I understand that you're going to be leveling off at 15,000. Is that what you're showing on the
Oh,
autopilot?
no.
All right, the controller is trying his best, and you can tell from this question that he's kind of hoping that maybe Doug's figured out the autopilot and is going to actually get the aircraft to level off at 15,000. Doug's radio calls are sounding a lot more like a pilot that's very comfortable flying an aircraft right now.
Senior 9 Delta Whiskey, when you're ready, turn left heading 180. Start looking you towards the airport. Whenever you're ready to turn, fly heading 180.
180 to 5,000 for 9 Delta Whiskey. I need to slow my descent down. That's 4,500 feet per minute. I need to get my throttle set for this descent. I don't know where.
Get your throttle set. 3-eye
Doug is
Atlas.
asking the controller
3-eye
to help him
Atlas.
understand where to set the throttle, because he's expecting to have a very specific power setting. At least that's what Doug wants. He
Wouldn't
wants
it be
them to tell
nice?
him, hey, tell me exactly where to put the throttle. But the problem with that is, if the pitch of the aircraft changes, the setting for the throttle is going to need to change too. And so they can't really give him a very specific throttle setting, other than, hey, if you're going down,
Copy that,
you're
Ampu.
descending and you start to go too fast, then just pull back on the throttle a little bit. Or to shallow out your descent, just pick up the nose a little bit so you're not pointing down so much.
Pick up the nose.
Okay, sir. In that case, just level off when you're comfortable, and I'll get you an answer on that.
Is Doug gonna
What's
die?
happening in this situation is that in most aircraft, once you get below a certain altitude, if you have a certain rate of descent, the airplane basically thinks you're trying to land the aircraft. And so if you don't have the landing gear down, it's going to give you some sort of
Beep,
indication
beep,
that, hey, you need to put the gear down if you're going to be this low altitude and descending. And so that might be what's happening here. As you can see from the instrument panel, he's doing about 230
I don't
knots, so
see
that is not
shit.
an indication that he's too slow at this point.
All right.
Okay, sir. In that case, just level off when you're comfortable.
Check him out. Check him out.
The information I have is to pre-select the autopilot for 5,000, but don't turn it on yet. You can go to the center console on the instrument panel and
Let's change the state for
5,000
this.
feet. But don't engage that. I'll get you information on how to do that.
Holy fuck.
Okay, let me get that before I say.
Okay, what Doug is saying is, look, I know how to turn the autopilot on, and I can get it to level 5,000 feet and hold that. The problem is, the aircraft's going to start turning because the autopilot thinks I'm asking for a specific heading.
Is he gonna die?
That as well. Altitude select is going to get the aircraft to hold that specific altitude.
I think he's gonna make it.
9 Whiskey, they're telling you to select the heading button. You know how to do that?
Hey, no,
I'm 150 knots. How many people stole this airplane? I'm just
son of a bitch.
All right, you probably didn't notice it because it was very insidious, but Doug's airspeed went from 230 knots all the way down to about 150 knots simply because of this conversation back and forth talking about the autopilot. Doug's probably looking around trying to make sure he's got the altitude select set up, the 5,000 feet dialed in, and now he's trying to figure out how to slew the heading or basically set the heading appropriate for the autopilot. And in that short amount of time, because he doesn't have the throttles pushed up far enough to provide enough power to the motors, that airspeed is slowly bleeding off and it's falling out of Doug's cross check. So that's what that warning tone is. It's basically telling Doug, hey, the aircraft is getting too slow right now.
Okay, so just advance the throttles. And the altitude's good, so I guess just pick up the speed with the throttles and travel 5,000 feet.
Right, now this is where I kind of disagree with what the controller did, trying to get Doug to focus back on the autopilot, because so far Doug has been doing fine.
What you mean, you disagree?
Trying to get him to focus on the autopilot, now I'm just going to do problem for Doug to solve.
Now, you'll do it when you can turn what's the heading 180.
You fucking fly this damn thing.
So that's how he's able to get that information back to Doug, basically helping him get better control of the airspeed, or at least have more awareness of what's going on.
Is he gonna die? Let's see if he puts this. I want to see this puppy land.
I've got another video for that on my channel you can check out here to see how it turned out. But in this case, with Doug, we're at the most critical moment of his flight, just a few miles short of the runway, and let's see if he can make it.
Now, we got one more detail left on the flap, so when you get to 120, it'll be full flap 720. And at that point, no slower than 110.
God damn. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's just very slight movement on the throttles to maintain that airspeed. It's not going to take a lot, especially with those two prop motors out there.
He's gonna make it. Is he going to the one in front while over there? Or the one on the side? No, this one.
Oh, it's a bad time to have the pilot slumping over and back to your controls. We're about to lay out.
That motherfucker better not wake up. That motherfucker better not wake up after he's been unconscious and supposedly dead this whole time.
That's right.
Let's hear it. Your brother died. Your pilot died. But you're alive. Oh, yeah. There it is. Jesus. Oh, Lord, there's a fire.
Family, unfortunately, they weren't able to revive the pilot. But overall, fantastic job. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out this other one on the screen here. And I'll see you next time.
Fucking, hey, man. This algorithm scared the fuck out of me. Hey. I don't know why the algorithm chose that. Like myself, I need a co-pilot. I need a co-pilot. I was stalled out. Just like I said, the algorithm knew. It took me on an experience.